What times of day are the horses fed?
Twice a day. Best if they're fed 12 hours apart, if they're being fed twice a day. It's ideal to feed them 3 times a day because you want to feed them as little, not as little, you want to take their allotted feed and spread it out as far as you can out amongst the day instead of feeding big chunks. Horses' stomachs are about the size of a football, so they can only digest so much at a time, and they're natural grazers, so they're not used to eating a whole lump sum and then letting that sit on their stomach and then digesting it. They want to continuously be keeping in a little bit at a time. That's the best way to keep up the best digestion for them because they're grazers. So we feed the 2 thoroughbreds that we have fat and fiber, which is exactly what it sounds like. It's high fat and high fiber. And then they need a high fat, high fiber diet because they're not really bred for our climate. So they can't keep their weight on, especially those are the 2 with the stable vices, the wind sucking and the weaving. So they don't keep weight on because they're constantly expending their energy with their vices. So we give them that, and then sweet feed. It's just protein, a mix of, I mean it's pretty basic, but mostly just for protein and so they eat the bland, wearing fiber. And then they get iron, just like people would. But our 1 thoroughbred has, has a blood condition, so he needs the extra iron so he doesn't become anemic. And she gets it as well because she's, same thing, she's a little bit more prone to it because she's a thoroughbred and she needs to have that extra boost so she doesn't become anemic as well. And then we give them yeast, which smells pretty awesome. It's for, it helps them digest their feed, so it gives them good bacterial flora in their stomach, and then they can digest their feed better. So they, instead of digesting kind of half of it, especially for horses like Kara who eat super fast, and then it just shoots right through her digestive system. But this helps her absorb all the proteins and nutrients and everything from the feed instead of just getting half of it. So that way we get the most out of our feed instead of feeding twice as much and getting half as good results. And it's a little pricey, but it's worth it. This is grass hay, obviously, as it's mostly just grass and not even Timothy actually. It's mostly just grass, and this is mostly alfalfa and grass.
Why would you feed the alfalfa?
Because it's higher in protein and nutrients.
So what kind of horse would you feed it to?
It's tricky actually because we usually save the alfalfa hay for winter when they need more. But you have to be careful for horses who are prone to colic and stall vices when they have sensitive stomachs and they're agitated and stressed out. It's hard to feed them something like this because they might it might bother their stomach and they might colic, but those are the kind of horses that usually need the higher content, like higher protein content, and they need more nutrients to eat to keep their weight on. So either more of this or less of this.
What kind of horse would you feed the grass to?
Anything. Any horse, really. It's just standard grass. Hey. It's good for anybody.
There's nothing you have to be worried about?
No, not at all. Even any like weeds or anything in the grass hay, so you don't have to worry about horses not being used to it or anything like that. It's just grass. Sometimes in grass hay, there's more weeds and they can also irritate the horse's stomach, or they can be ones that they're even allergic to, or slightly poisonous or really poisonous. And the more so in the alfalfa hay, there's usually more weeds and stuff they have to worry about. But these don't have too much.
How much water approximately is required per animal per day?
I'm not sure about cows, but horses drink about 8 to 12 gallons per day.
Okay. How do the horses obtain the proper amount of vitamins and minerals?
well, I would hope that we're feeding the proper hay and then grain for the ones who need extra for their different body types or different personalities. So if they're easily stressed and they need more weight, or for, say, the ponies, maybe in the summer they only need to graze.
Could you explain sort of what she's doing?
So she's weaving. When she gets in kind of nervous or agitating, or I suppose for her she'd be feeling anxiety, and she just gets like it's a way of release for her. So instead of, she can't cope with anxiety like the other horses, so she will find a way to release that. So it's like when a human had a tick, or like when you see people rocking and she's trying to focus in and she's trying to calm herself. And that's like a result of just her brain chemistry and that being mixed with a nervous environment when she was young, and then it just kind of got instilled in her, and then it's her way of coping.
Cool. And can you explain sort of like what the negative effects of weaving would be?
The negative effects? Well, her feet, clearly, are a huge negative effect. She has to wear shoes in the summer to hold her feet together, and that's gone right up and her legs are, she's got multiple split bones in her legs, her joints are weak from it. Obviously it's not always safe working around her when she weaves like this, or when you take her out she's even more anxious. She'll do more than just this that looks like a calm back. Like right now she's just soothing herself, but if she's asked to work she might do it even more, and it's not particularly safe for people all the time, and it expends a lot of her energy. So as you can see she's a little thin, and it's really, really hard to keep her weight up because she's putting a lot of energy into weaving because she's constantly moving. Mentally it's straining on her too, obviously, because it's she can't, even with that coping mechanism, it doesn't fix her anxiety, it just helps her get into some kind of space or zone that helps her out, but it doesn't fix it for her. So she still has that, she still feels that anxiety, so that weighs a toll on her weight as well, being stressed constantly. And that is a result of her being, she was a track horse, and some track horses just don't deal with the high stress. Some of them really feed off of it, and some of them don't deal with it very well. And so she's used that to deal with her stress. And this is a cause of weaving. So there you go.
Oh, perfect.
Because she
Don't eat that.
shifts her feet when she weaves, and they act as 3 separate plates instead of one hoof. And that's how she gets these big cracks in her feet. That, and again, being a thoroughbred, she's